Hello my friends, and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to have you joining me today. My name is Tiffany, and in today's video we're going to be working on my front yard makeover. This is going to be part one of a two-part video, possibly even more than that depending on how much time and work this takes. But as you can see, our front yard pretty much looks like Mars right now. We moved into our new build back in December, and it was snowy, and there was definitely not going to be any grass or plants or anything like that, so nothing had happened. But as you can see, things are slowly happening. And if you checked out Sunday's this past Sunday reset, you would have seen that our yard has actually been seeded now. But in today's video, I'm going to be working with my husband to get our flower beds built and started. And I just want to say a big fat thank you to my incredible husband. He is such a trooper, you guys. His name is Danny, and as I've mentioned before on my channel, we both work full-time as public educators. I am an elementary school counselor. He is a middle school resource teacher, special education teacher, and we have 5 children ranging from the age of 15 down to 6. So we are very busy people, and he is always a trooper to do anything I suggest or crazy things that come to mind. He's just so incredible. So when we were designing our front yard, we knew we had the option of paying somebody to come and build these flower beds for us, plant the things we wanted, do all the work for us, or we could do it ourselves. And we just love to be able to say, yeah, we built that. So that's what we're doing. Plus, I love to save $1. So it's like a win-win in this situation. But we had this really interesting design here in the front of our house. So we didn't really pick out how our walkway was going to look. Our builder just kind of did that one day, surprised us with it, and it gave us this open area right here that clearly just needed to be a flower bed. It's really big, and so trying to figure out what fits in here has been a little bit tricky. And actually what I configure in this video has changed since then, but it's a pretty big area, and it is needing to be kind of sifted here because it's full of rock. So our land is very soft. Our water table is pretty high, and if you've been around on my channel for a while, you might remember that when they dug our basement, it was pretty much just a swimming pool. So they had to bring in a ton of rock so that they could lay the foundation appropriately. They actually had to do a very special type of drain underneath our home, and our basement kind of floats there. It's really interesting and very dynamic, and I could never explain it to you because it's far bigger than my brain can, function. But with that being said, there is a ton of rock in our front yard. Another reason why we call it Mars. So what Danny is doing here is we decided to frame out this side of the walkway because we knew we were going to be building a garden bed on the other side as well, and that was going to need to be framed out. And so we wanted it to be symmetrical, not symmetrical, but we wanted it to match. I'm trying to think of the right word. So we decided to frame out this area, and it worked, as a double-edged sword, because not only did it frame it out, but it also works as a little, bit of a retaining wall and keeping in the dirt and everything. So what Danny's doing is he's leveling out the dirt. He's removing the rocks, and then he's adding in some fresh dirt, and he's smoothing it out before putting down another brick. These bricks are from Home Depot. You can find them there. They were, I believe, $2 and change, if I remember correctly. But he's measuring it, I'm not measuring it out, but he's leveling it out. Then he's using the level to make sure that it's level with the one beside it and level with the ground. And then he's using the rubber mallet to kind of knock it down and get it situated. So it was a process. I had to do a lot of speeding up and, working with this video, because this took him a long time. This one side of the flower bed took him probably the entire day, and then we moved to the other side of the walkway to do the rest of the flower bed. That was a whole other day. So this was definitely, a multi-day process, and he is such a trooper. So he's going to go ahead and get these bricks down here on this flower bed on this side of the walkway, and then we'll move on to the other side. So every so often when he would lay down 4 or 5 or 6 of the bricks, he would use the yardstick leveler to make sure that it was all level. This was really important to him. So our walkway is not level, it's higher on one side than the other, because the way our house is, the house is higher than, and it kind of like slopes down towards the street, but he wanted to keep the bricks level. So that's what he's doing here. He's going back to constantly check them and make sure that they're good. And like I said, this was something that was really important to him. He wanted to make sure that it was level so that when you're looking at it as you're coming up the driveway, it doesn't look wonky, and it looks professional, even though it's us doing it, not professionals. And then now he's just taking the dirt and spreading it out. So this dirt is actually dirt from our yard that has been loamed, which basically just means that, or it is loam now. It's just dirt that's been sifted through this gigantic sifter, and it takes out the rocks and all that good stuff. And then it's just nice fresh dirt, and it is mixed with horse manure. So as I mentioned before, it does not smell good, but that's okay. It does the job. So what he's doing is he was kind of spreading it out a little bit, and then he was raking this side over here and using the pitchfork or the pickaxe, I'm sorry, to break up this little bit of asphalt that we had on the side. So where they poured our driveway, there was like an uneven bit of the asphalt that went into the flower bed. And so he is breaking all of that up now, and then he's going to shovel it all out, and then he's going to work on making that area as level as possible before laying down more bricks. This was such an involved process, you guys. But again, we wanted to make sure that we got it done right instead of rushing through it. It was really hot this day too. I don't remember who he's talking to here. I think he's talking to the boys, but it was really hot and muggy, but we were trying to get it done. So I think he might actually be talking to me. I'm not sure, but he's taking a break because it was so very hot. So now he is raking the area to get those big rocks out, because they really did just lay the new fresh dirt on top of all that rock. So it was still under there. And it is still there as we're trying to plant the plants, and that's okay. The earth is rocky, and that's perfectly fine. It does good for drainage with your plants and your roots. Don't worry about rocks in the soil. You don't have to get all the rocks out of the soil. You just want to remove the big ones when you're trying to level something out. So he's going to bring in the rest of the bricks for this side of the flower bed and get that finished up. And then we'll move to the other side. Okay, moving on to the right side of our porch. So what Danny's doing here is he's using the shovel to map out what we want the flower bed to look like over here. Now, again, the yard does slope down away from the house. So when it's pouring rain, it does pull the water away from our house, which is great. But because of that, it has a natural slope, and we wanted to work with that. So what he did was he used the shovel to map out two possible options for the flower bed, and then he called me out to choose which one I liked better. God bless him, he has been so good with the camera. He's just been taking the camera and doing it himself. He finds the angles, he's gotten really good at it, and I really appreciate it. I was actually working on cleaning up the inside of the house while he was doing this and keeping the kids occupied. We are on summer break now, so it's been a little bit hectic at our house as we adjust to the new non-routine routine. And again, Danny is going to be making sure that these bricks are level. So like I said, because it does slope down, he does have to not only keep them level with each other, level with the ground, level with the house, but he also has to kind of tier them. So they start off, at one level, and then he drops down a brick and keeps them at the next level, and it just creates this tiered effect, and it looks really, really great. His original intention was to keep a retaining wall all the way down and around the corner, and it would end up, one brick here where he's starting, but 4 bricks deep when he got to the end. And we ended up going against that. We liked the way the tiered look. I actually really loved that look, and Danny wasn't sure, but he was like, I trust you. And then when we realized we'd be saving a lot more money, we were both like, yes, this is even more of a better option. So you'll see that here in a little bit, but he's just following the same pattern that he was doing on the other side, where he is flattening out the dirt. He's removing any big rocks, adding any fresh dirt to make sure that it's even, and then making sure that it's level as he goes. And he's using his body weight to push and shimmy the brick down into the dirt, which not only will keep it, where it is, but it also helps to level it out. So it was a process. Again, it took him a long time. He did take some breaks because it was hot, but it was all worth it. It came out so nice. He did such a great job, and you would never know that it was not done by a professional. So this is where Danny is making the first tier shift. So he's going down a whole brick length or depth, I'm sorry. So he's taking a look at it. He's kind of eyeballing it to figure out how much further he needs to go. And then he is using the shovel to scrape out the dirt and get a good, full brick down. And then he's leaving space to add another brick to tier it so that it looks like it's a gradual descent. So it ends up coming out really, really good, and it looks really nice. I'm so impressed with how he did this. I always have these visions, but I'm not really sure how to execute them or what they'll actually be like to make them happen, and he does such a great job of actually executing those visions. Now, as he got to the edge of the house, we went back and forth about what we wanted to do. So as you can see, there is a downspout right there at the corner, and we knew that that was going to flood the flower bed if we didn't redirect that water. And so that's something Danny's got to work on. He's going to add some extra piping there to redirect where that water goes so that it's not flooding the flower bed and it isn't kind of going down the little hill there on the side of the house and flooding, down that area. So he's got that figured out. We just have to get the piping for that. But as you can see where his line is drawn, it goes kind of out and around the corner. So on the other side of the house there around the corner, we've got one of our air conditioning units. And so I wanted to cover that up. You're going to see it here in a few minutes, but so my plan was to cover that up. I knew I wanted the bricks to go around the corner, the little retaining wall. I wanted it to go around the corner so that it gave some structure, as well as, it kept it'll eventually keep the mulch and everything, in one place. So that is why things are the way they are. Charlie's killing me here. She just has to be close to everybody, just sitting on the wall there like it's her own little perch. She's such a turkey. But as you can see here, you can see that air conditioning unit there on the side of the house. And so I knew we wanted to go, as far down the side as we could, so that, we can put some plants over there and block it as much as you can. It's not the biggest eyesore, but it'd be nice if we can cover it up if we can. So now here from the front, you can get that visual of the gradual descent of the wall. And I love it. I think it adds some fun interest. I think that it's really pretty, and I really, really love it. The other thing that I wanted to mention that I didn't get on camera is that we did use the bricks to line both sides of the walkway as well. So I know that I didn't film that, but we did feel like, structurally it needed to have the bricks on both sides of the walkway so that it looked, symmetrical and it had a good solid foundation. So here is a better view of the side of the house, and you can get a good idea of, how you can see the big air conditioning unit, and just having the brick go as far down as possible again just creates more of a flower bed and more places for me to plant stuff along the side of the house here to kind of block that out. And of course, as he's getting to the end, we were just 4 bricks shy. So we got to get some more so we can finish that up. But he did such a nice job. Now it's time for my favorite part, and that is bringing the space to life. So Danny created this incredible foundation for us to bring in the plants, and we're getting started today with this beautiful, incredible hydrangea. And it looks a little wilted right now because we had a huge rainstorm the night before, but it's all nice and perky again. But I'm also bringing in this beautiful lavender rose bush, and then I'm also bringing in some hostas as well as a lavender plant, which is there in my hand. I wasn't sure where it was going to go yet. And then I wanted to bring in some evergreens as well, so everything wasn't just spring, summer, and fall. So I'm bringing in some boxwoods, and my plan was to kind of cover up those beams there at the bottom of our porch. So that's why the boxwoods are there. And then I also brought in some annuals to kind of fill in the space and bring in some color. But the hydrangea, the roses, the hostas, the boxwoods, and the lavender, those are all perennials. They will all come back again and again, and the boxwoods will stay green in all seasons. So that is nice. But as you can see, I'm also not doing the plants all the way down and around the corner because I didn't want to do anything on that side until we got the spout figured out. But my plan for the side of the house is to have more hydrangeas and more boxwoods and more hostas lining that side of the house down there. Nice big beautiful hydrangeas that will cover that area. So here's how this is looking. Of course, nothing is planted, and I'm just, putting everything where I think I want it, and I'm leaving space for things to grow. Everything that you see here will get bigger, and so I'm leaving space for all of that. And now we're moving on to the other flower bed. Now, like I mentioned, this flower bed is big, it is oddly shaped, and I was having a really hard time figuring out what I wanted this to look like. So I am going to play around with it a lot. However, I thought I wanted kind of a sporadic, the birds brought these seeds and they just kind of landed here and grew kind of feel, but honestly, visually, it was not working for me. So I am going to put these all into place, and I'm going to talk to you here in a little bit and show you what I've got and go over each plant, but I just want to say that's changed. That has changed since I filmed this, and I'm also missing plants. So I don't have any boxwoods for this side of the yard, and that's because plants are expensive, you guys. Very, very expensive. And so I'm trying to just, purchase things a little bit at a time. Those incredible hydrangeas, which were the number one thing I wanted, those were $60 a piece. And so I needed to I've been collecting plants, over the weeks, and, slowly putting the garden together. I didn't go purchase all of this all at once. It's been almost a month now that I have been collecting things. So when you're, watching this and you're thinking to yourself, if you're thinking to yourself, man, I wish I could buy that many plants. I could never do that. Just know I did not do that all at once. I wouldn't put myself in that position either. But those petunias that I've got there, those are $5. The alyssum were $5. Not everything that I purchased was really expensive. Just a couple of pieces that I wanted to invest in. I wouldn't spend that kind of money on something that wasn't a perennial, that wasn't going to grow back every year. So the hydrangea and the boxwoods, those are the two investments. But again, those are you know, an investment, and they will come back every year. So I'm just gonna mess around here until we get it what I think is just right, but just know it's all gonna change again. Okay, so here's a look at where we're at so far. So in this front flower bed, and please forgive all the construction noises around us, but in this front flower bed, it looks like a hot mess right now for a number of reasons. So we just had a huge storm yesterday, which made my incredible hydrangea wilt a little, so I need to stake it because those branches are still perfectly fine. I just need to give them some support to like pick them back up. But in the back there, I've got an incredible hydrangea, which can get 5 to 6 feet tall, and 3 to 4 to 5 feet wide, depending on, it's a shrub, so depending on how big it gets. And then right in front of it, I have 2 dwarf limelight hydrangeas. So the incredible is white, and then the 2 limelight are green. And then I have some bare spots because I want to add in a boxwood here and a boxwood back there, to just, and I think one behind the hydrangea and those 2 hydrangea right there, just like right back there to give it some, you know, some anchor. And because boxwoods, which are these over here, they stay green all year long. So we'll see what ends up happening. But right here in front of it, I have a catnip. And then down here in the front, I have a lavender. And then these fluffy little things are hostas. So I have those. I'd like to put another hosta over there, like right there. But I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those. Those will fill out and be bushy. They just kind of, they're ground cover. And then I also have some alyssum, some purple alyssum. I'm not sure what this little guy is called. I'll have to look it up. And then I also have some white petunias. So that'll just kind of create like a little hedge along the edge here. And I'd like to get another white petunia for over there so that it just comes down and around. But I wasn't sure exactly how many I would need until I kind of filled them in. And then I also have this other little white plant or white flower over here. It's another perennial. I love this one because it's got the sweet little flowers, but I don't know what it's called. It is a bacopa. A bacopa. So I just love the sweet little flowers. And I have these both in this pot here with the yellow tiny little, these are a super bell. And I think I have them in the backyard, but they're super pretty and they just spread. They're kind of a little spiller. They're really pretty. And then on this side over here, which did Danny not do the most amazing job with this flower bed? I love it. He wants to add another brick here, here, and here just to make it a little more anchored. He would like to raise this wall all the way up. I don't want that. So I like it how it kind of just like flows down naturally. But starting over here, we've got a hosta, a boxwood, a lavender, another boxwood, the bacopa, hosta, another super ball, which looks, or an incredible, I'm sorry. It looks a little sad, again, because of the rain. It's just got to plump back up. And then another bacopa, and then down here at the end, I've got a lavender rose bush, which I love. And then down here on the side of the house, I have to figure out what I want to do. So it does get some full sun in the afternoon. I'm thinking a boxwood here, and then like 2 or 3 boxwoods up against the house, and then some of those little dwarf hydrangeas here on the edge. And maybe a couple hostas. We'll see. But I think that it is coming along so nicely. It's very bright, so hopefully you can see it. But we need to get these bad boys into the ground. However, you shouldn't plant anything like when it's super duper hot like this. Like it's not super duper hot. It's like 75 degrees, but it's like the heat of the day. It's 3 o'clock right now. So what we're gonna do is just kind of let the sun go down a little bit, and then we will come back out and get all of these bad boys into the ground. And then we have to figure out mulch. I'm thinking black mulch, but I'm not 100% sure yet. But I am living for how this looks. it's just really coming together. So this incredible will really like bloom up, and that's why I don't want to fill in all this area down here. You got to leave room like for everything to grow back, and everything in here except for the bacopas and then the little flowers along here like the petunias and stuff, everything else is a perennial, so it'll come back next year. So that's where we're at so far. Love, love, love the way it is looking so far. I'm so happy with the wonderful job that Danny has done, and I love looking down at all of the grass seed that's slowly coming in.